emotional intelligence, one of the first things you've got to do is be aware of your own, be self-aware, right? And make sure that you understand that your own emotions and how they're going to affect your thoughts and behaviors in whatever you do, and not only at the corporate level, but I think that applies there at the local level.
You need to establish during that consultation the emotional reason why the patient is coming in for that visit. And that's the key to having a really good consult. That solidifies the rapport you're going to have with them. It also helps you understand their needs, why they're coming through the door.
Really important to help people understand, what the long-term game is here as well, because otherwise people feel cheated, and that creates a distrust, and distrust begins to fester into negative emotions that then creates a snowball effect.
Good evening and welcome to the Business of Aesthetics Annual Expert Panel webinar. This empowering discussion is designed to help you navigate challenges, leverage opportunities, and build a thriving career in aesthetics. Thank you for joining us, and a huge thanks to our panel of renowned industry leaders for being here. Tonight, we'll be sharing actionable strategies, best practices, and valuable insights to tackle the unique challenges aesthetics professionals face today. Let's also give a warm welcome to our panelists, Tracey Mancuso, Paul Herchman, and Renee Serban. It's truly great to have all of you with us tonight. Thank you for taking the time to share your wisdom and experience. Today, with our Business of Aesthetics expert panel, we'll be discussing a very unique topic, and that is going to be emotional intelligence and leadership in aesthetic medicine, managing teams and clients effectively. This is a live event, so please engage with your peers, ask questions, and share your reactions. We are confident you'll leave tonight equipped with actionable strategies you can implement immediately. So before we actually dive in, a quick tip. Let me ask you this. When potential patients search online for treatments you offer, does your practice actually show up, or are they finding your competitors? This is a major challenge for many aesthetic practice owners. You might offer amazing services, but if you're not visible online, you're missing out on a steady stream of new patients. The good news is there's a solution with the right digital marketing strategy, including local SEO, targeted ads, and funnel-based content marketing. You can not only attract more inquiries, but convert them into patients walking through your door. Stick around until the end of tonight's webinar, because we have something special for you that can help take your practice online presence to the next level. Now, let's get started by introducing our panelists tonight. So first up, we got Tracey Mancuso. Tracey is a seasoned aesthetic expert with 30 plus years in clinical care, leadership, and education. A certified medical laser safety officer, she has led top dermatology and plastic surgery clinics and is now launching a new practice in Ottawa. Passionate about innovation and mentorship, Tracey empowers professionals to lead confidently in energy-based aesthetics. Next up, we have Paul Herchman. Paul Herchman is the co-founder and the CEO of Get Hair MD. With over 30 years of leadership in the medical and aesthetic industries. A seasoned entrepreneur, he specializes in launching innovative multimodality solutions for hair restoration. Through Get Hair MD, Paul partners with practices nationwide, delivering proprietary technologies and business models that drive patient results and practice growth in the evolving hair loss market. And finally, we have Renee Serban. Renee Serban is a globally respected corneotherapy expert, CIDESCO and CIPTAC certified educator, and also an international, and also in the International Association of Applied Corneotherapy, a board educator and board member. Known for her dynamic teaching, Renee empowers skin professionals and advanced knowledge in skin science and cosmetic chemistry, helping aestheticians and clinical owners boost client outcomes and achieve significant business growth. Wow, we have a great lineup tonight. I'm truly appreciative of each of you taking your time to be here. On your screen now, you will see the main points for today's discussion. I'm confident we'll help deliver an insightful and amazing webinar. We also have some excellent questions, like I explained before, and I'm excited to dig into them right now. As mentioned earlier, feel free to engage with us through the chat, whether it's a happy face or a heart reaction, a thumbs up, or a comment, or we love seeing your participation. Any questions you submit, I'll do my best to bring them into the live discussion. If not, rest assured, one of our podcast managers will get your questions answered and follow up with you afterwards. With that said, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. All right, so the first question, Tracey. You trained thousands of professionals in energy-based aesthetics. How does emotional intelligence show up in a consultation room, and what are the consequences when it's missing?
This is such an important question, because first, you need to establish during that consultation the emotional reason why the patient is coming in for that visit. And that's the key to having a really good consult. That solidifies the rapport you're going to have with them. It also helps you understand their needs, why they're coming through the door. It also helps you with something that's really important, which I call screening for the big four. The big four are things that I call red flags, like BDS, body dysmorphic syndrome. You have a patient come in, they're telling you, I hate this, I hate that, I need this, I need that. This is your time to stand back and say, is this the right patient for me? The next is peer pressure. I've had oftentimes young ladies come in, or they come in with their moms, and it's going to be a bit of a pressure. Oh, she needs this, she needs that, and they feel like they need to have these services to be part of whatever is going on in that dynamic. That's when you have to sit back and say, okay, is it possible for me to take this person out of this dynamic, bring them into a separate room, and really find out what's going on? The next is the impulse decision. And this happens a lot when we have changes in life. So someone comes in and they say, you know what? Last week, my husband and I split up. I moved out of the house and I've decided that I need a facelift. And you're like, oh, okay, woo, it's a long way from moving out of the house. So, make sure that you screen through those impulse decisions. And then the last one is the patient that comes in, and I love to ask the question, what else have you had done? What else have you visited in the past with different aesthetic treatments? When they say, well, I went down the street and that clinic, oh my God, they were so bad. I couldn't stand what they did with my face. And then I went to the other place and she made my brow drop. And then I went down the street and I couldn't believe what happened to me. Then I go, okay, maybe this isn't the right patient for me either. Maybe I should pass her on to someone else. So those are my big red flags. So that's part of what you need to see in the consult room. Now, the true consequences of you not realizing when this is happening, and that usually happens when a consult is something like 15 minutes long. I always say your consult should be at least 45 minutes, mine's an hour, but make it enough time that you can recognize all these things. Is that you'll, number one, miss those big four that I just talked about. And even though we were kind of joking through it, it's really not a joke. It's actually very serious. If you miss any of these, you'll treat the wrong patient and you'll be in a bad situation. I'd love to tell you that, I have high EQ, but I have done the exact same thing and treated the wrong patient. And boy, that took me a long time to get out of. And then it also, if you rush through all this and you don't recognize those things, you lose that chance to build rapport with your patient. You lose that connection. You don't have it. And they just leave. Usually they won't buy it from the consult. The consult won't convert. And really, you don't know why. You're like, wow, I really educated them. I gave them everything. I even gave them a goodie bag to have them leave. Why didn't they buy anything? Well, it's because you didn't establish anything with them. You didn't find out that emotional reason why they're there. So it's really, really important to discover that in that consult process, and take your time during the consult to really discover it. Talk less and listen more.
Thank you, Tracy. A great way to explain and put that into purpose. And also, since it's all about emotional intelligence, it's a great way to put that. Thank you, Tracy. So again, emotional intelligence. Now, second question is going to be a bit more. I would say it's going to be a bit deeper into emotional intelligence, and it's going to Paul. So, with your extensive background in aesthetics, how has emotional intelligence shaped your approach to building patient trust in hair loss treatments and fostering collaboration among partnered aesthetic practice teams?
Yeah, well, thank you. And I must say, so I'm coming at this, from the perspective of somebody almost 40 years in the industry, really partnering with physicians. So me in a consult directly with a prospective patient hasn't happened, right? And so I don't have much authority there. But I will tell you, I think, from emotional intelligence, one of the first things you've got to do is be aware of your own, be self-aware, right? And make sure that you understand that your own emotions and how they're going to affect your thoughts and behaviors in whatever you do, and not only at the corporate level, but I think that that applies there at the local level, and then also having self-regulation with that as well, and making sure you're healthy and in control. But I think that from a hair loss perspective, you got to realize, I mean, I've learned so much about how, look, guys, we hate to lose our hair. Half of us lose our hair, but half your buddies lost their hair. So it's not as difficult, but we have been absolutely amazed at the hair loss that we see with females, and we've learned that it is a totally different you know uh, perspective, from emotionally and their motivation. And so I think it's empathy and trying to, number one, show them clearly and scientifically what's going on with them, and listen to them, and if they want to do something about it, to make sure that you have solutions that fit their scenario. Again, I don't do that. The practitioners that that work with that will do it. But collaboration for me is like, you know I think a collaboration in building my team, and how we're motivated and all on the same page. But I think it's the same thing at the practices. How do you collaborate, and how do you put incentives in place and make sure you're all pulling, in the same direction in that regard.
Thank you, Paul. That was I love how you explained that. So Renee, as a corneotherapy expert who emphasizes client-centered education, how has your approach to emotional intelligence helped you navigate emotionally challenging times while continuing to build patient trust in corrective skincare treatments and foster collaboration among your training teams? It is a bit of a long one.
It is a long one, but I think it's an important one because I think at the end of the day, all comes down to laying down strong protocols for yourself within communicating to your clients what you can do for them, what your expectations are of them, and what they can expect of you. And I think building that transparency and setting those boundaries in place really sets a path that everybody knows what to expect of one another. And I think that really helps to build trust in a long-term outcome. My approach to skin in particular is also long-term. So my clients, from an end consumer perspective, when I work with people, because I do a lot of business to business, but business to consumer as well. And I teach my clients this. It's really important to help people understand, what the long-term game is here as well, because otherwise people feel cheated, and that creates a distrust, and distrust begins to fester into negative emotions that then creates a snowball effect. So I think setting the tone right from the get-go, understanding what it is that you're working towards, a common goal, what each person's goal is or role is, and what their responsibilities are in that process is absolutely important. And I think in our industry, from my experience at least, is you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. You're not going to be the person that has exactly the skills for everybody that walks through your door. So I say to my clients is that they have to understand, number one, what is their scope of practice and stay within that and know where that line is, especially from an aesthetics point of view that sometimes touches or borders on this medical aesthetics thing quite closely. You have to understand where your own limitations are, own those limitations, communicate that to the client, and be a professional and refer when it is appropriate. And I think that sets a good tone and a good long-term relationship going forward.
Thank you, Renee. Some great practical tips. I love how you explained that as well. So, Tracy, coming back to you again, what cues do you look for, verbal or non-verbal, that sign a patient is losing trust or is dissatisfied? And how do you pivot in the moment to repair that relationship?
That's a big one because we do see it. And sometimes, we try to ignore those signs, but that's not good. So, one of the first ones that I see is a patient will come in and they'll have started doing their own research and they'll say, okay, Tracy, before we start treatment today, so I know that you're doing some IPL on me. I know you're doing a little bit of radiofrequency microneedle, but now my girlfriend was telling me, that's usually the start of it, that she got this treatment and it was an erbium laser resurfacing and it did amazing. You should see her skin now. It looks great. And then my other friend was telling me all about her jowls, and she had her jowls done with some sort of ultrasound thing. So I was really wondering, when I was looking through the internet, I thought maybe this isn't the right treatment for me. So this is how they start doing it, right? They get a little from their friends, they get a little from the internet, they come in, they have their own sort of research. And now you have to sit down with them and explain why you chose what you did. This can happen in a couple of reasons. First of all, it can just happen because it just happens. They have friends who like to talk. You've all been sitting around with a couple glasses of wine and you told everybody what you've had done and now everybody wants to go and have it done. That's great. The other time it can happen is when you didn't start at that consult again. I'll keep bringing him back to the consult, but you didn't start at that consult to really tell them and explain why you're choosing the treatments that you're choosing. So it could be two reasons why that happens, but it really demonstrates that your patient has lost trust in the process and you need to use education to bring them back. The second big one is really that constant rescheduling. And I'll see this in a patient who maybe you have a series of 6 treatments for them. By treatment 3, they start to reschedule their appointment. And you see it once, it can happen. You see it twice, it's a big coincidence. 3 times, you should go buy a lottery ticket because that doesn't happen very often. So you know something's wrong. You know that this patient for sure is lost process, right? They've lost conviction in the process. So calling them up, and I don't ever ask them what's wrong. I always say, I'd really like to follow up and make sure that you're happy with everything so far. I start with that. I lead with that. I walk right into it. So I walk into the fire because I want to hear right from the start. I don't want to say, oh, is there a reason why you're canceling the appointment? Well, there obviously is. Nobody just cancels an appointment because, they woke up on Friday and feel like it. So start with that and then really find out, dig deep and find out why they're canceling. Why are they rescheduling? And then it's also when they point out things that they don't see. So they'll come in and they'll say, Tracy, I love the treatments. And they usually start with that. I love the treatments. Everything's going really good. But, I still have my jowls here. It's really still bothering me. And I was wondering, we're at treatment 2. And I was wondering if you can tell me when I'm going to start seeing something. Right now, that's a huge red flag. And you need to step in and you need to pull up their befores. You need to talk to them about what the process is. You have to go and revisit what you did in the consult where you told them how long it's going to take. I really suggest during consults too that you have progression photos. No matter if you're doing, skin, you're doing hair, doesn't matter what you're doing. You need to have progression photos to let people see what they should expect to see in the coming weeks, coming months, or even a year, depending on if you're a surgical patient. And so you really need to show them this is where you're at right now. So it's okay that you still have a little bit of jowling, but you know what? Your pigment looks better. Your fine lines look better. These are the things that we knew and we expected would improve. But at this stage, I don't expect that to be the case. Remember, we talked about that during the consult. And a lot of it too is your own body language. And a lot of us aren't even aware of it. But I've been nodding this whole time and all of you guys are nodding with me. It's just a thing. When we start nodding, everyone starts nodding, right? And you're like, yeah, and you agree with it. And so it's learning a little bit about your body language and how you relate to the person that's right in front of you.
Wow, that was great. Some great points and some great advice. I mean, some great practical tips. I love how you explained that, Tracy.
Thanks.
So, so Paul, leveraging your visionary leadership in identifying market trends, how do you cultivate a leadership mindset that motivates your team and partners to embrace innovation and deliver exceptional results in the aesthetic field?
Okay, and again, remembering what my perspective is as a builder of companies. I think, by the way, I mean, the first thing we should always do is, lead with empathy in, whatever it is that we're doing. But look, built a lot of companies, and I just think it's so important to align goals and to also do what you can do to give people some upside in your success. And, to try to understand, yeah, we are all working and we all have jobs, but what if we can create something together, whether it be in the practice or, whether it be, as a business? What if you can create something together, and there's rewards there for you? And, we all have feelings and you have feelings, but what about the facts? And to go back to the facts and analyze, how things are, playing out for you. And, I would be remiss if I just didn't say, like, you know, we're introducing a business model with Get Here MD that's really never been done before, where we give physicians exclusive territories and partner with them in a way that has never occurred. And so it's extremely rewarding because we're all trying to build the value in those territories and build the value in their success and try to help them understand, what they need to be successful. Because, the great thing about it is they have to be successful at the local level and in their practice, and then we'll be successful as a company, overall. And it's a big motivation of mine before I, finally take retirement and, leave the industry is, to do something, that is, you know, emotionally tying people in with our company, with their patients, and just making sure that the expectations are set correctly, right? For us, our partners, are their expectations right? And all the same, I think the same thing for the patient. Are their expectations correct as well? And setting those proper expectations and monitoring their progress is super important, whether you're an
Yep.
industry person partnering with a practice, or whether you're a practice providing procedures on patients that have some type of expectation.
Really well said. Thank you, Paul. So Renee, with your experience mentoring aestheticians and clinical owners, what techniques do you use to navigate challenging conversations with staff or clients about skin correction goals, especially when expectations differ from outcomes?
I love the it differs. We agree to disagree at times. I think it's really it's interesting because I think the younger or the newer a person are coming into the industry, the more nervous they are about exactly that, getting that person where your expectation differs from what the client's expectation was at the end of the day, and they really struggle to have those conversations with people. So I am a great opponent and spend a lot of my time and teaching, especially new estheticians as well, that it's okay to borrow somebody else's language until you form your own. So I give a lot of scripts for my clients to help them, open communication to clients, to have discussions, but also to their own team members at times, because sometimes we have to have those awkward conversations with people that we really like working with,
Yep.
but things are just not working, right? So I think having the understanding, and I think some of this emotional intelligence in this area comes with age as well, to say it's okay, you do not have to know how to handle it from the get-go, but it is your responsibility to practice having these conversations and saying to the client upfront, or your team member, whoever you're having these difficult conversations with, is your expectation is different, or you're upset because where we're at now is obviously different than what my interpretation is of where we would be. It leads us back from a business perspective, why I emphasize so strongly with people that it is worth the time to set that strong consultation at the beginning of the client relationship journey with your business and the individual involved. Because when people come through your door, they might be coming to me for a skin issue that they're having, be it acne or rosacea or aging. It doesn't really matter what it is. But when you treat the skin, in my world, you're treating the person as well. So in the consultation, you have to take everything into consideration about the client, because all of these things that make up the person in front of you plays a role into what brought them to where they're at today. So you have to then say, okay, this is the pieces of the puzzle and why we're dealing with what we're dealing with today. And these are the things that we set in place in order to go forward that common goal. And that's where that powerful consultation is so important. And as I said when in my previous answer, is setting that expectation from the get-go and very clearly laying out that in this journey to get from point A to point B to reach this goal for the client or the patient, that this is what my role in it is, and this is my responsibility, and this is your homework and your responsibility. And I think because when you set that from the get-go, and I'm also a great proponent of having those baseline images, I do baseline measurements for skin as well, and I write down, have a written format of the instructions that I want them to follow, so that you have a place to come back to. That was your baseline, like any contract. Basically, it's just a starting point for a long-term relationship that you can just come back to and say, okay, I agree that this might not be where we were. You validate the other person's feeling, because we can all feel entitled to our feelings, but then flip that to facts, as Paul said, and say, these are the facts that we're dealing with. Let's go back to the beginning. What pieces of the puzzles were we missing? Is there anything in your homework that you didn't understand? Is there anything that I missed or I didn't understand? And I think it's also very important that if things went wrong from your point of view, or on your side of it, that you must acknowledge your mistakes and then put in the work to fix it if you as the operator were at fault for the client not getting the results that they wanted, or that difference of opinion. And if that is not the case, if you can't come to the same page, then you have to redraw that line and come to an agreement that now where are we going and what is the outcome that we want now. You are allowed to reestablish that at any point. So that's kind of what I say to people. And you have to have the protocols in place before this happens, because otherwise it's very stressful and really spikes your anxiety and that of your team if you don't have policies in place to handle it.
Wow, such a great breakdown, Renee. Thank you so much. So speaking of this discussion, we actually have a comment or a question from the audience. So the question goes like this: does anyone else have clues they can share when a patient is losing trust or is disappointed? Anyone wants to go ahead?
Well, I'm sure Renee will, for sure, because she's been in the same shoes as me, and she's talking about consults. So she's right in the same boat. We're rowing the same boat. So Renee?
Yeah, sure. To me, when I'm teaching business practices and so forth to my clients, I always say that it is really important to have a follow-up process in place. I say to them, it's like, if your client has not been through your door in 12 weeks, that starts to get me a bit nervous. So what processes do you have in place that's going to, I'm obviously all about systems and processes, pull the
Yep.
report. Do you have a system in place that you can recapture, for lack of a better word? I don't like that word, but let's use it for simplicity, that you can recapture these clients. It is as simple as a phone call to say, oh, hey, Tracey, we haven't seen you in 12 months. Just want to make sure everything is great. Is there anything that we can support you with? It can be as simple as that. If you come to 6 months, now I'm concerned, because let me tell you, that client is likely about to trade you in for the business down the street for sure. And 12 months, they've already bought a different cleanser somewhere else for sure. So in the process of doing that, I do think that you really have to be proactive about not losing clients and touching base. The phone call at that 3 month, we do it before that. We have like a post-treatment phone call that we do to see how the treatment went. Of course, that's also really important. But then that 3 month mark is that your first of what I call 3 phone calls to make sure that invite the client back in, at least to have that point of contact. But you have to also give yourself permission that not everybody is meant to be on your patient or client panel, and that it is okay. I kind of say, nobody in today's day and age wants to be bugged and phoned a million times. If they're ghosting you, you're ghosting you. It costs you more money to try and keep them on the books. So do a conscious uncoupling with them and just say, hey, I just wanted to phone. It's okay. We haven't seen you in a while. We just wanted to know if you want us to close your file. And then move on and put that energy into getting the next client who wants to work with you instead. It is a continuous thing. You have to always be working on getting new people in. You're always going to be losing some clients on the other side. And there are times in business where I will go and prune the vine. My husband is a viticulturist, so you have to prune the vine in order for it to grow for next season. So sometimes literally going in and cutting it is meaning cutting some clients who are not growing in the way that you want them. Let them go, because you want to help people get great results. So spend your energy and time there. It is a much happier place to operate in as well. So that's my opinion on that.
Really well said. Thank you. Thank you for Renee. So, Tracy, what's one daily habit or mindset shift you believe clinic owners and team leads must adopt if they want to lead with clarity, motivate consistently, and avoid burnout?
Well, the big thing is to do what feels good to you, because although I can tell you, and I will tell you what I do every day, you might look at it and say, well, that's a lot of kumbaya, Tracey. I'm not going to do that. So, I mean, it has to feel authentic to you. And I'll use an example of my dad. My dad is the absolute polar opposite to me, if you can believe that, right? He's even 6 feet tall. I'm only 5 feet tall. I mean, I don't know what happened, but we're really separate, different. And the things that rock my world with making my teams go, and he has a huge team too, he'll say to me, I can't believe that you did that with your team. I would never do that. He's very straightforward and very, he's got a legal background. He's very, to the point. And I'm a little bit softer with that. I lead with a little bit more of collaboration, and I lead with a lot of, trying to let the leash go a little bit and give them as much room as they can have, to make sure that they grow. And I give them as much as they can to grow. So it's a very different type of leadership. So I'll start off the question and answer by saying you have to do what's authentic to you. But one thing that I like to do is I start my day off with my team, and I do a 10-minute, I call it a clarity check. So what I do is I start off, everyone arrives early for work. We start with 10 minutes and we talk about the top 3 priorities for the day. So what are our top 3 things that we really need to get done today, other than obviously the patients, but what are the other things that we need to get done today? And then I delegate 1 or 2 things to each person, knowing that they have other things they have to do during the day and respecting this. a lot of times I see, and I work for people who've said, okay, here's the 17 things I need you to do today. And I'll say, okay, and where do the patients come in? Who am I seeing too? And how am I going to get this done? So it's understanding their workload too. And then I always like to set an intention for the team. And I'll say, okay, today's intention is, and this is how I want them to feel for the rest of the day. And I set that intention. And I thought when I was doing this that it was just something that nobody really cared about. I was doing it more for myself. But there was one day when a staff member was actually leaving the company. I felt really bad because I really liked her. She was great. And I like all my staff, but she was particularly very, very good. And I was like, ooh, hard to fill that hole. Anyway, she came to me and she said, I want to let you know something, that under you, I have never felt like anything was impossible, because you always said, it's not impossible. We can always do it together. And I was like, oh my God, I really like these little 10-minute sessions every morning really impacted her day. And she really felt like, okay, no matter what happens, and we had some pretty good stuff happen, but she always felt like I had her back, I had the whole team's back, and I was always going to make sure that we got through it. And I think it's just standing up, figuring out what works for you, and doing that every single day. Now, it also, the one thing it did is it made me focus as their leader on leading rather than just coming in and leading with chaos. And, my first few forages into business, when I bought my own company and I was having my own clinic, and it really was every day I felt like I was coming in and just putting out fires and putting out fires. And I just said, this is crazy. Like, I can't do this anymore. And I literally did burn out. I sat down and I said, I can't do this anymore. I left the industry for a year. And a lot of people I don't share that with, but I did. I left the industry, sold the clinic, left the industry, and said, I'm out. And after a year, I was like, I'm tapping back in. But
Here she is. Yeah.
I was burned. I was so tired. I was working 7 days a week, and it was just from thing to thing to thing to thing to try and get, and I wasn't ahead of anything. And so really by doing some sort of process that's authentic to you every single day with your team, you can set yourself up to focus on what's important. And then those fires will still come, but you'll be able to manage them a bit more like, a true firefighter, rather than just somebody who's like, oh, I'm here for the chaos and contributing to it.
Thank you, Tracy. Some really good practical tips. So Paul, as a leader who has navigated the growth of multiple aesthetic ventures, what techniques do you use to manage challenging conversations with staff or patients about treatment outcomes or business expectations, ensuring a constructive outcome?
Okay, so I'm going to go to the business expectations because Tracy and Renee have covered the others so well. I really wondered if I was even qualified or to be on this panel. And then I actually talked to some people that worked with me, and they said, you know what, the most fun I ever had in my life was when we worked with Medical Alliance, and he just joined me as our CFO. The most fun I ever had, was working with you at Thermi. So I thought, well, okay, well, maybe I'm doing something right here, but I think people want to see growth and they want to know. And that's what I heard. They always knew that we were growing and we had a project or someplace that we were headed. And, we always made it really, really clear to folks that they were a part of it. We couldn't do it without them. And then for me, and I still do the same thing now, and it's different maybe in the industry, but we're pushing for an outcome. We're pushing for a liquidity event. We're pushing for cash flows, and I optionize, give options to people over a period of time that, if we're successful and we have a successful, liquidity event, which I've done a number of times, again, maybe a little bit different from practices, except maybe not so much with private equity and all the roll-ups that are going, but it was, we just had this common dream on doing something special. And so, it's been, I think the thing that kind of the glue that held us together and put us all on the same pathway, pushing the same direction.
Thank you, Paul. So Renee, coming back to you, drawing from your success in driving 30% annual business growth for clinics, how do you cultivate a leadership mindset that motivates skincare professionals to embrace your innovative training methods and deliver exceptional client results?
I think the systems in place to face the truth about the results you're getting for your clients is a very scary thought for a lot of people in our industry, because we're people pleasers. So, we want to think everybody likes us, that everybody loves the treatments that we've done, and that we're getting results. But I think at the end of the day, it is in the results. The clients are spending hard-earned money with us. It is their disposable income that they're choosing to spend with us. So I think having a proactive approach and opening yourself to scrutiny, I suppose, is exactly a growth mindset, because we are willing to look and reanalyze and revisit clients' progress and face the truth when the results are not what we had hoped and desired. Sometimes it doesn't mean that that is anything we did wrong necessarily. It just might mean that we missed a piece of the puzzle. So being open to admitting that when that's happened, and proactively fixing that when you realize it, I think is really powerful. And then giving people permission. I think, once people realize that, what, you don't have to serve every client that comes through your door, and you can be selective in choosing your clientele, your candidates, even whether you're going to do a specific treatment for one of your beloved clients or not, and truly standing behind that is really important. But you can't just go and tout to clients that, no, this, you can't do this because I say so, we're going to do that because I say so. You have to quantify it and educate people. I always say, in this time that we are living in my opinion, it's the age of information. You are losing clients, you're losing trust in yourself, and your team will lose trust in you if you are not willing to share education and knowledge with people. So you have to educate your clients and elevate their knowledge, because when people understand your why and your reasoning, you're going to get trust, you're going to get a compliance from the client, and so much more. And and facing the facts that, life is a journey of learnings. When we know better, we do better. And in practice, especially in a very fast moving industry that we live in, it's like, yes, you might not do things perfectly, because tomorrow something else is launched and you realize, like, oh my goodness, what have I been doing? Because you've got this new piece of information, and just go, yes, exactly that. Now that I know better, I will do better, and just own it. And you have every right to let people go. You're not obliged, in Canada at least, to treat everybody. You do have the choice. And I do think that when you have people who, this might sound a little bit woo as well, but when you have people who subtract from your day at the end, I think that's not a healthy relationship to have with people. And to what Tracey was saying about burnout, is like, that's a fast track to burnout in our industry. So you have to have and know yourself well enough to know when that, and understand and recognize when that is happening, because you have to safeguard yourself. You are no good to anybody else as an empty vessel. So work with the people and the clients that you enjoy. And it's okay. I'm not saying you have to not treat a person in your clinic, but you don't have to be the individual treating them necessarily either. And, honestly, I have let the ship sail for quite a number of clients. I have fired clients in my time, where I've literally have sent them to my competition, because if I don't want people to be unhappy either. So I'm okay with saying, obviously what I'm doing is not getting you the results that you want. So I really recommend that you go and see so and so, set them free. And I think those are good methods. But realizing that these things comes from a place of strength, it doesn't make you weaker. It is not gonna make your business go backwards. It is actually the opposite. But it is scary for people to do, because they want to hang on for dear life to everything that comes to them. But yeah, sometimes letting go is the way to make more space for growth.
I love that.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So when you have to let them go, you have to let them go, right? Yes.
And it's hard. I'm a controller, so it's sometimes hard. It's sometimes hard when things don't go according to plan. But yes, sometimes it's like, yep, that didn't work. Moving on. Let the people know. Let new things roll on. And
Yeah, I guess it's basically, it could emotionally drain you, but in the long term perspective, it's actually something it's going to help you, right? So yeah.
exactly.
Thank you, Renee. So, all right. So we have actually a comment from the audience. So the question or the comment goes like this: as someone who did a ton of customer service, read very difficult clients for a long time, the biggest thing that people want is to be heard, and what you do at this point can make the difference in how interaction goes up and what they end up wanting to happen. Can anybody relate to this?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
How you
That's right.
decide to deal with the patient at that point in time is going to change what the outcome is for you and for them. So, I'll give you an example. As I had a patient come in and she was very unhappy with her treatment. And, shocking because she had a treatment with me, but it does happen. Kidding. So, she said, this is what I was expecting. And I realized at that point in time that she's absolutely right, because what I saw is what I treated. And I was so focused and so concerned about what I saw on her. And I treated that and it looked great, but that's not what her concern was. And so she wasn't happy. And so at that point in time, that's when, I had to sit back and say, you know what, you're right. I was treating this and I'm very sorry. This is what I was really focusing on. And you're absolutely right. We should have been treating this. And I want you to come back in for these series of treatments. And I'll tell you, she was a client of mine right up until the time that I left the practice. And had I not done that, had I said, oh, well, I made a mistake, but I'm not going to fess up to it, unfortunately, she would have probably gone somewhere else and I would have lost the patient. Paul, did you have similar situation? I'm sure you had.
I mean, I'm just enjoying listening, Tracy, listening to you and Renee. I want to work with you. I've learned so much. I feel like I'm kind of the third wheel as an industry guy in here. And so I've learned a lot. I wish I could take a notes. I'll have to listen to the recording. But, I mean, for us, the first 10 centers we opened them ourselves under an MSO model in high-end salons. And so, we were dealing directly with the patients. And, what we found out with hair loss is, look, it can be slow and, getting results. And people don't want to give up on their dream. And so, when we look at returns, because I think that's what I do, is who did we give our money back to? That's really, kind of a very important factor to look at. And you know what? We found that if we continue to say, why don't you keep coming? We'll give you may be a slow responder. And so you may be a little bit different, but why don't you come in? And we had some therapies, we have a clinical laser that there's no per click charge, and it's just taking 20 minutes of room time. And we were very free about, hey, let's don't quit. Why don't you come in and keep going? And it resolved almost 100% of people that wanted to quit. I mean, they just didn't want to quit on their dream, and it kept them going. And then guess what? They were slow responders, and it got better and better.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Renee, you
Such
want
a
to add
great
something?
story.
Yeah, I think it definitely brings us. I was smiling because I remember one of my way back in the day when I was managing a clinic, we had a client come in very, very angry, and she demanded to see the doctor because I wouldn't listen and so forth. And it's funny, but it was a moment of truth as well, where I said to him, like, you cannot give a refund, because I was very clear about my about the expectations. Like, we agreed on expectations. Oh, and I documented everything. So he's like, I see. And he said to her, he's like, it's okay. We took Renee's broom away. Meaning that I was being a bit of a witch at that time.
Oh, it's funny.
It was so funny, but it kind of made me reflect, because I thought to myself, okay, where was that she was disappointed, and I looked at it and I'm thinking, this looks really great to me. I'm really happy with the
Yeah.
result. But that's exactly that. It's like, revisiting and saying to the client, okay, obviously this is what you wanted. I saw that this is what your skin, in my case, needed. And we didn't bring that into alignment. And sometimes I find, especially when it comes to skin disorders, which is my area of specialty, is that, the client wants something, which I now, hindsight, have learned to say, yes, I can see that and I appreciate that, and we definitely want to get that as a result. But then in order to get there as a professional, sometimes that there's other things you need to do first that the client needs to have done in order to get the result of what they want to see in their skin. And again, comes to that educating the client in the process that you have to follow to get that result that they want, so that they're not thinking 1 or 2 treatments is going to bring that result. And sometimes getting to the result that you agree in the consultation is a multi-step process, and people forget. So I think upfront, one of the things that I do in my very elaborate consultations with clients is and teach my clients to do as well, is be very clear on the steps, but also always say, I would like you to give me this time frame in order to start to see a difference in the skin. And I always ask for the opportunity that if things are not what they expected, to be the first point of contact, because I would like the opportunity to help fix it first. I don't want, and that has come from fixing other clinics' problems, or like boo-boos all the time, so to say. There is great benefit in that, but I teach my teams as well that there's a lot of learning in that. There is not one of us listening to this that is going to have things perfect all the time, but I love learning through my mistakes, because that's what makes me excellent in what I do. So I always ask people to come for that opportunity if things are not what they expected, because I want to learn from it and grow from it. So I love it when things kind of go, even if it's just slightly astray. It's like, what can we learn? So so that's what I think is like, but again, ask for that upfront, so that the client also feels comfortable that they can come to you if that expectation is a bit different from what they thought they would get.
Right.
Thank you, Renee. Some really good practical tips. So we are now moving out from, I would say, the individual type of questions, but we have some general questions from the audience. They have submitted some questions while during the registration of this panel, and there is one question like this. It goes like this: so, how do you inspire your team to adapt to new techniques or industry changes while maintaining their motivation and commitment to patient care? Any of you can dive into this question?
Well, the best way that I like to motivate my team is through education, because I know everyone is very excited about learning things, and bringing them into the fold of education and explaining what's in it for them. Because people like to learn, but they want to know, why do I need to know this? So how is this going to affect your everyday life? Will you be able to, let's say in a clinic situation, where I would say, this is how you're going to be able to excel with treating XYZ indications. Or if I'm training, let's say on the industry side, and I'm going to say to the sales reps, look, by learning this, you're going to be able to sell a lot more devices, which means you're going to be able to buy that Ferrari by the end of the year. So it's like, okay, now I understand. I got to sit down. I got to listen to Tracey. She's going to teach me this. They get excited and they want to learn.
Yeah.
So it's really by starting off any of your learning journeys, by letting them know that. And I always tell people too, your learning journey starts off, and I see every student the same way. They'll start off, and then the minute they learn something, they go, I always call it the peak of confidence. They go to the peak of confidence, right? Think they know it all about that device or whatever treatment it is. And then they journey along thinking they know everything. They might even change their Instagram handle to guru. So once they've done this and they think they're a guru, something happens along the way. They have some sort of mishap, somebody's not happy, something happens. Then they fall down, I call it the pit of despair. And they think, I don't want to touch this thing ever again. I don't even want to hear about it. It doesn't work. that, they just go into the pits. But what they don't realize is that along that journey, they've actually learned a lot. And they know a lot more than when they started, and a lot more than when they first hit that hill when they thought they were a guru. They've learned a lot. And so you have to get them out of that pit of despair. And that's the one thing, is sticking with your student all the way through that journey till they get to that, because they will get that. It's going to happen no matter what. Then when they get there, you pick them back up and say, okay, this is where we're going now. This is what we're going to learn about this. And that's when you see that peak where they actually know what they're talking about. They feel confident, they continue wanting to learn, and they're excited to learn. But if you educate your team once and you walk away thinking, okay, they know it, see you later, that's not going to work. You have to stick it through. And that's what really motivates them. So it's setting that example at the start, what's in it for me, and then sticking with them.
Thank you, Tracy. Paul, Renee, do you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, sure. I think that adding things into a clinic is always a team event unless you're a solo operator. So I think having that buy-in before said device or thing or product actually arrives is super important. I do in clinics really a lot of pre-arrival education so that we're ready to launch when it is there. You want the excitement in the team and for the team, because otherwise that's not going to translate to your clients either. And I like to gamify things when we're learning something new. To me, it's always like Tracy said, you're going to hit that peak and then it plateaus, and then sometimes it crashes and like has a secondary plateau, which is where you hope it will sit consistently and ever increasing that upward trend again afterwards. But it is quite normal for a new thing to spike, plateau, come down a bit, and then having to kind of find its little happy medium place. So I feel like the higher that peak is to begin with, the higher the plateau is going to be, where it settles at the in the long term. So I like to gamify things with my team and also get the buy-in. Like, I kind of always say to people, like, we want to grow. What are the things that you would be interested in learning and so forth as well? So get their input as well, so that they know it's not just about what the owner is deciding to do, but that you're opening to listening and what it is that your team is interested as well, gamifying it, making a big event out of it, and also pre-booking the thing before device or new things arrive, because you have to get your hands dirty from the get-go, because there's too many times that I go into clinics and they get the new shiny object, and then like the team sits through the training falling asleep like this, and then they do their minimum of 5 clients or whatever, and then done, right? So you really have to get your hands dirty from the get-go to get that comfort happening, because anything new is a learning curve. So yes, the more they're going to do early on, the longer the success will stick.
Right. Thank you, Renee. Paul, do you want to add anything?
I mean, I guess I would say whether you're in a practice, building your practice, or whether you're in industry, trying to work with practices, frankly, success comes down to the individual in life. It's their commitment, their dedication, because you can look at anything, and just because I'll go back to my business partner. We play in pickleball, right? I introduced him to it, and we're really good. But guess what? Just because I have my pickleball paddle and we're playing together, and now he kills me. You know why? Because he does 2 hours of work that I don't do. And it's not all equal. Just because you're there, it comes down to your individual focus and effort to make it happen. And we're all responsible. Maybe this doesn't fit into emotional, to the overall topic, but I think we are
Yeah,
all
yeah.
responsible for overachieving and executing, above our competitors. And I think that's a real difference.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. I just realized the time, and we are closing in. And give me a second.
I'll add something while you're busy, Lester, to Paul's
Yes, for
thought
sure.
there is I love that you actually brought that up, Paul, because you know what? You can't teach people attitude, and that's why I always say it's like do your interview process really good, hire slow, fire fast.
Hmm.
Basically,
Right, yeah.
because
Yeah.
I aim to employ people who has an aptitude for more learning.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. That's great. That's, I mean, really insightful. So, I know. So, I mean, time passed. It was very insightful, and I mean, I would love to keep going, but I want to be very mindful of everyone's time. Tonight has been awesome. So much comprehensive answers, valuable takeaways, and rich insights. Thank you all so much. So, before we wrap up, I promised you a special gift, and here it is. And this is a gift from the founder of the Business of Aesthetics expert panel, that is Narain Arulraja. Narain is the CEO of Eco Marketing, a digital marketing organization that specializes in helping doctors and medical professionals, including aesthetic practices, succeed online. As a token of appreciation for your participation tonight, Narain is offering you a complimentary marketing strategy meeting with Lila Stone, the Business of Aesthetics marketing director. Lila is a trusted expert in digital marketing and is passionate and empowering medical professionals with the marketing tools and strategies they need to thrive. On the screen, you'll see a QR code you can scan, or you'll find a link in the chat to easily book your complimentary session with Lila. So whenever I see an opportunity like this, I ask myself this question, like, what is the risk if I reach out and book a session? I would say it's just your time. So uh, before I would say again, I would like to basically encourage the audience to basically stay connected with our industry leaders here, our lovely panelists here, and also get in contact with them. And finally, I would like to thank again to our expert panel, that is Tracey Mancuso, Paul Herchman, and Renee Serban. You shared so much insight, amazing best practices, and a wonderful actionable content. If I were to sum it up, I'd say collectively you made the complex simple and the hidden visible and the
Thank you.
difficult easy. Secondly, thank you
Thanks.
to all of our attendees for the privilege of your time and participation. Without you, we don't grow together. Without you, we don't set each other for success. A reminder to like, share, and review us on your favorite social media and stay connected with our panelists if you like a deeper conversation like this. Until next time, on behalf of our panelists, keep thriving for excellence and exceptional patient care. Thank you again for being with us tonight. We will see you at the next expert panel series. Until then, take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.